Well, hey everybody, it's Sandy and welcome back to my channel dedicated to helping you advocate for your own health one topic at a time. I hope it's okay if we have one of my car chats today, guys, because I'm stuck in the car for a little while and I've been mulling this around. I really wanted to get a video out about it. I recently put a question for the other members of the group in the Facebook group. So if you haven't checked that out yet and you like my content, Sandy's DIY Health Advocacy does have a Facebook page and you can ask to join the group where you get a little more of an interactive discussion. It seems these days that's where most good conversations get started, if I have to say so myself. So as those of you who have been with me for a while know, I have only recommended the N95 really, and once that kind of PPE really became available for people who want protection in the form of aerosol protection. I've only recommended the N95, and without being too redundant, I'm just going to sort of briefly explain why that head strap that everybody loves to hate, myself included, is really the master of the design, and it's what allows for you to get some upward torque, and you can angle it so you get sort of upward, partly backward torque on it, and not just the ear loop only, where you can only get backward pull. And that allows for a customization of fit so that you can really get a tighter seal, and there's not as much variability from person to person. And that is why both the KN95 and the KF94 by definition allow for up to 10% leak, because there's just a lot of individual variability in terms of face size and face shape and head size, and all that informs the fit. So it's not just about the material. And with an N95, as long as the material is actually what it should be, which goes without saying with the approval of NIOSH, assuming that it's legit, there's a lot less variability because of all that adjusting you can do to enhance the fit and make up for any individual variations. So, I was one of the earlier people talking about this on YouTube way back when we didn't have all this PPE. I was talking about what we should look for in a fabric mask, and I had said that's one of the reasons I wanted polypropylene in the middle layer, and I tried at the time to really drive home the point of breathing through the mask, not around the mask, and that it really didn't matter how well the material filtered and how tight a filter you have. If you're breathing around the mask, you're breathing around the mask. And that was a difficult concept at the time. It seems like we all understand that very well now, but it was very foreign to people. Having worn masks my entire career, I understood it. And anyway, so I recently put this question up, and I was looking for either a KN95 or preferably a KF94. I really don't find that the KN95s can work without leaking. There are some N95s that are actually somehow KN95 fitted with a head strap, and because they have that fold down the center, it makes a pointy area with the nose that I can never get smoothed out and rounded out. So even the N95s never really worked for me with those. Back a while ago, sometimes it was the only thing you could find. But anyway, so I was really looking for a KF94 because I have a situation coming up where I really can't wear the head strap, and I can't wear what is normally my go-to substitute, which is the Ready mask that has sort of a silicone adhesive, a very gentle adhesive. So that's a strapless mask. But I'm going to be in a setting where we're going to have some professional photography. There's going to be makeup, and then we have to travel from one place to another and maybe be in and out of crowds. And so I'm going to need something that I can put with all that makeup on. I can't use the silicone glue seal, and I can't put the head strap on because the hair is going to be done as well. So this is a pretty big life event, so I was looking to see if I couldn't find a KF94 that might work. And I really want to thank everybody who answered, by the way, and I appreciate all the answers. There were many recommendations, and I tried several of them, and I put a comment in the Facebook group about this just today. So what I learned in this hunt is that it really kind of drove home the point that I've been trying to make. I wish I would have tried this earlier, because I could have said it more clearly this whole past year. It really drove home the point of all the individual variability that comes into play when you're not dealing with an N95. So again, individual face shape and size, individual head shape and size. And it really also drove the point home that I've talked about. There's another YouTube creator on, his name is Aaron Collins, and I like his channel, and I want to give him a plug and say I applaud his work. It's not everybody that has like a several $1,000 machine that can measure aerosol diffusion across membranes just sitting around in their basement, Lloyd Armbrust does that work also on a machine in his factory, and I really appreciate all of their work, but I'm also going to get a little bit of a scolding, which is that I wish that Aaron Collins' recommendations when he tests, I'm going to put that in the air quotes there, testing of these KF94s and KN95s, he does the testing on his face. See, and I just wish there was a disclaimer everywhere, all over the place, in neon signs and bright lights that said, this is very much dependent on face shape, unlike the N95. So I almost prefer the kind of testing that Lloyd Armbrust does, where he just puts the fabric, the material, in between two pieces of the machine, and there's a hole cut out, and the machine blows aerosols from one side to the other, and you see what ends up on the other side, and it takes the face shape out of it, okay, completely out of the equation. Of course, that only tests the material itself, and the material capability should be inherent in something like the N95 designation. Same thing, as long as you're dealing with something legit, that's a KN95 or KF94, but doesn't account for the face shape. So anyway, this experience I had where I tried several of these KF94s that you guys recommended, and even a couple KN95s, really drove this point home. I found them wildly different, and some I was not able to get a seal to save my life no matter what I adjusted. Adjustable ear loops, adjustable nose piece, there was just no way. It was just leaking all over the place. I found one that worked for me, and I'm going to talk about that briefly, and I'll do a more thorough review on it later. I'll explain why. But guys, I just can't underscore how important I think it is, and how much I learned what I already knew, which is that you have to be very careful that you have a good fit with any respirator. But if you want the protection of a respirator and you're really hell-bent that you can't wear the N95, you have to recognize there's going to be a lot of individual variation, and don't assume that because you wear this KF94 with, you know, a good fit, that you can just buy any KF94 that's legit and you're going to have that same kind of fit. I mean, just something as simple as the kind of material that they're using for the ear loop might change all that. And please be very careful and fit test it. If you have to, put some sunglasses on if you don't wear glasses. If you do wear glasses, put those on and do some deep breaths and some breathing out, and see how much fogging you're getting. Obviously without a temperature issue like going out into the cold air, which would be just condensation. But really be very careful with these. So all that said, I want to say what I did find that I think is working for me okay. It's never going to be my go-to, but somebody had told me Breathe Tech was a good option, and it's going to come out backwards now because I'm on the phone camera. But I did look at this company. I've actually emailed them. I want to do a whole other video and maybe review the product just because of my own experience with it, but I want to find out from them whether they're willing to do a coupon code for my viewers. For those of you who don't know, I don't do affiliate links on things like this because I don't want room for bias that a commission would create, and I don't want to prey on people's fears. So I would just leverage any influence I have to try to help my viewers. But I have put in a request with a few questions about the product and its specs, but another question which was, are you interested in doing a some kind of a coupon code for my viewers that I would like to be reusable. So anyway, I went ahead and tried it. And they have this sampler pack for $6.99, and you do pay shipping and handling, but it's all 4 of their sizes. Everything comes in gray or black, so they give you 2 of the sizes in gray and 2 of the sizes in black, but that's totally arbitrary. There's no other difference. There's no difference between the gray and the black, you know, given the same size. And what I found is that the small worked for me well. Now I no longer have it because I had to use it in a situation I decided to test it in, so I got rid of it because there was just no reason to keep it. I do find that the extra small works for me okay. It is a little small, and I have to make sure, you know, I've got everything covered exactly right. It's just a little more work, but that's an extra small. But interestingly, I did find that the small of these did a very good job, and I did get a very good seal. Now, again, I'm never going to make these my go-to because I think that the security of the N95, just knowing that if something moves a little or the head strap, I just feel like I have to be exquisitely careful with this after what I'm used to. But can I say now that this works really well for everybody and this is the one that I think you should buy? No. The fact that this worked for me, I think, maybe is an indication that it might be a good option for people with my facial shape, which is that it's an oval, it's a very narrow, my cheekbones come out and then it narrows, you know, pretty abruptly. So I have this very narrow face. In fact, with glasses, I usually have to shop in the children's department. Most glasses, I think an average is about a 52 millimeter across in this direction on the lenses, and I have to use 48 maximum. So I have a very narrow face. So I guess the only thing I can say is, unlike my recommendations when it comes to N95s, is, you know, perhaps try this one out. If you have this issue that I have. Other ones like the Bluma that people said they loved, I couldn't get a Bluma to stop leaking for no matter what I did. I would have had to use double-sided medical tape and put it on the inside, and that really, I wasn't going to be able to do that for what I was using it for. So anyway, it's I do understand the draw now that I have found something that I think seals. I do understand the draw of not having that head strap. However, I will also say that I did find that the ear loop kind of got annoying after a while, especially on, for whatever reason, on one of my ears more than the other. It got to be, it was a little bit painful, and I don't think an adjustable ear loop would really help with that, because I think that I needed to have it that tight to get that fit. So it wasn't adjustable, it just happened to fit that tight. Maybe I could have pulled it more this way, or so. I'll still continue to play with it. But, you know, the real take home here is that what I said about the universality of a recommendation for an N95 goes a much longer way. I think a recommendation for something like a KF94 and a KN95 is not quite as universal. It just shouldn't be viewed as universal, and I wish people who did content where they were testing something on their face would just go way out of their way to drive that point home, because if you're not really looking for leaks, sometimes leak can be subtle. If you're sort of depending on that testing, that's real world testing on one individual person's face, you might be fooled, and you might be very much mistaken about the result you're getting on yours. So I prefer, even though it doesn't give you the real world view, I prefer the testing where it's just the material and it leaves the face out of it. It's going to be very difficult to be any more empirical than that with these, and I see why the designation of something like KF94 or KN95 does allow by definition for up to a certain amount of leak, because that's what you're going to have. So I think I've found something, but I think this could be a lot of work to find something that works for you. I would just say I double down on my view on these that I had in the first place and that I've been talking about on my channel. So please, please, please test the fit on yourself. Test it more than once. Feel for subtle leaks. And again, I recommend the N95 when it's available. I'm going to see what kind of a response I get from the Breathe Tech people. I am impressed with the product for what it is, and I would like to see what they want to offer for my viewers, and I will do a more in-depth review on that. I'm not so sure how I feel about doing more in-depth reviews on other KF94s. If somebody has one that they want me to talk about, please do. I'm just, again, afraid that, you know, the individual fit is such an issue that I can't really speak for, you know, what would work for which people if it's not working for me. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. Thank you guys for your recommendations and your answers to my question, and I think I found something that's going to work for the situation I need it for, and I hope this was helpful, and until next time, be well. Bye-bye.